Yeah, I mean, immediately, super sad. Like, I was not ready for this, man. Seriously, Jesus Christ, man. You get some tears here. It's like, did he die there? Also, again, of course, supposed to be Stockholm, right? And the whole travel in the video Stockholm, because this deal looks like a church. And you can see it here, that is the church, right? This is basically the video, isn't it? Isn't this where the music video is? I think so. Not exactly, maybe, but you know, I mean, it's like somewhere in this distance here, right? It's probably on this street here called Kinstugatan. So, Gatan means street. Thor reacts to Nautilus. Hello everyone, of course, time from the Yorushika reaction. If you like the last one, I hope you can hear again, right? To me, this is so fun, right? This is, of course, here in Stockholm. And I used to work, right, in the building over there. Literally, I worked on the top floor. It's crazy. That's like literally my window. It's insane. I was like, what? When I realized that last week, it was crazy, right? So, hello again here, right? In this video, then, right, we're gonna listen to a new Yorushika song. I had Nautilus. I have never heard it before, right? And the reason, of course, that I watched Nautilus, people recommended it in the last video, right? That because, of course, it's more Swedish context to it. Of course, jag är svensk, eller hur? And before we watch it, I was like, one thing. One thing was I was thinking about Sweden pop music in Japan. It's this song. If you've never seen it, guys, there's an anime called, of course, Detroit Metal City, where the main character wants to actually be in a Swedish pop band. His dream is to play Swedish pop music like ABBA, right? That he's forced to be in his like death metal band. It's hilarious, man. It's actually one of my old school favorite animes. And instead that he's forced to be in this like, yeah, crazy death metal rock band thing, whatever. I recognize like it's a great anime. Now let's take it out to this. So I'm mentioning it because I really love this anime. And I think about Japan and Sweden and music. I think about this, right? Japanese pop, yeah, pop music Sweden.
時計が鳴ったからやっと目を覚ました昨日の風がちょっと嘘みたいだ出かけようにも予報が雨模様だどうせ出ないのは夜が明けないから喉が渇くとか心が痛いとか人間の全部が邪魔してるんだよさよならの速さで顔を上げていつかやって
So we're pausing here already, but it looks kind of sad. Is this is that music? This is the same character, right? Because I mean, the other song is called, you know, I give up music, it's all your fault. And looking at the bridge there. Is this perhaps should she abandon music? That's what I'm thinking. Right? It looks like the same character and it's kind of the same storyline. Yeah. 'Okay, next in here, this definitely also could be Stockholm. Talk about more later, but yeah, I certainly feel that this could definitely be Stockholm. I mean, obviously kind of generic, but this is kind of how it looks in Stockholm, the building.
決めたはいいけど靴を捨てたんだっけ裸足のままなんて度胸もあるわけがないやどうでもいいかな何がしたいんだろう夕飯はどうしよう晴れたら外に出よう人間なんてさ見たくもないけどこのままの速さで泳いで君にやっと手が触れたらもう目を覚ましてみて
Det är Fika med Fika.
この君を忘れたって覚えているから丘の前には君がいて随分久しめて笑いながら顔を寄せてさ二人で行くって言うんだラップランドの納屋の下ガムラスタンの古通り夏草が邪魔をする
Vi hade en Stockholm, vi hade en fly ships. Sweden eventet där, över någonstans. Sverige, Paris, Thor, vi först där. Pressa.
夜が明けたらもう目を覚ましてみて寝ぼけななこの君を何だって描いてるから
Okay, like super sad. Did he like die or something? Yeah, and probably in the water, right? But I mean, probably went into the water with Nautilus. But it also felt like when I saw one, like, you know, did it say, what? Yeah, super sad, this music video. What? Super sad, my god. I didn't think it was be like, yeah, I haven't heard something before either, but super, yeah. Yeah, I mean, immediately, super sad. Like, I was not ready for this, man. Seriously, Jesus Christ, man. There's some, you get some tears here. It's like, did he die there? Did he jump into the water and, like, you know, did stuff? Yeah, I was like, whoa, I was not ready for this to be so sad. For this to be so, I mean, honestly, yeah, I did not think, I mean, yeah, I never heard something before, right, from the Yorushika, and I didn't think it was gonna be some freaking, like, someone, you know, committing or something like that. I mean, I was sure, but I feel you could interpret it as the person, you know, jumping off the bridge, right? Right? What? Because it's kind of like dreaming, going to the water, right? Leaving the instrument here, yeah, and this, like, you know, crying here, and then the next scene, like, they can't find them, they're only left is the instrument, right? So it's like they jumped into, but also, of course, there's like a water ship passing by there, and I guess you could argue that they, you know, they just took that ship instead or something, yeah, I suppose, but it feels like almost implied that they, you know, so that was like, whoa, yeah, I'm like, this is like super hardcore sad, man. Jesus Christ. I was like, what? Yeah, was that like a death scene there? What the fuck? Jesus, man. But yeah, I mean, it started with him crying in the beginning as well, so right. So yeah, this was much darker than I thought it was gonna be. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. But let's first break it down then. Musically wise, and then we talk about the Swedish part as well. Yeah, it's super sad, but yeah, I like the chorus. I really like the part in the middle from again from music. I like it. Very bad chord. But I was thinking about that. The song this one here is very bad chord. But it feels like he basically gave up on life here after failing. Like that. It felt like almost three, I want to say 3 different songs, but it's like one different part here, right? Which is a little bit later. So it feels like it has 3 different, like distinguished different musical parts, right? So here in the beginning, and then it's mentioned in the middle part, which was my favorite, and then of course in the end, right, which is sad and she's crying here. And definitely a much like sadder, like I said, that melancholic, slower song perhaps than some of the Yorushika music, I would say. Definitely, but to be fair, I haven't heard all the songs, right? So comparing, yeah, I mean, the one I heard are more. I would say most of their music is more, you know, yeah, it's more, you know, it's more faster, right? It's more faster. It's more pop, I guess, right? Than a Swedish pop. Yeah, it's more pop. It's more pop like that, right? So yeah, it definitely felt like a very somber musical moment, man. Jesus Christ. But let's talk about some of the Swedish part as well. I guess obviously this is very clearly Gamla stan. Talk about it, of course, in the last video where I also went over the map and so on. I can do it briefly again then. if you haven't seen that video, but this is a very famous place in Sweden, right? Overall, and I used to work there and so on, right? And live this over here. So this is like my workhouse, or my office, my workhouse. My house was like over here, okay, like next to it. I had this as my office. But yeah, you can see this here. But it's like a famous place, not this itself, because what it's called, like Tyska Skolgränd, that means German. That is German in Swedish. So Tyska Kyrkan is located here then. And let me show you. This here is Stockholm, right? Capital of Sverige. And you zoom out, this is the Gamla stan. And in that then, you will find this place called Santiago, the German church, right? And that is why all the streets are called. Like, this is called Tyska Brunnsplan, you know? So that's like the well, German well, German street, and so on. That's what it's called, Tyska Stallplan and so on, right? And of course, this is the old town, so you have all the different houses and so on, right? And I think it's relevant because, of course, in the music video also we see the street later here, right? She's trying to walk and find and so on, right? It's at the evening of this place. So, well, then we get in here, right? And I do think this is also, again, of course, supposed to be Stockholm, right? And the whole travel in the video is Stockholm, because this deal looks like a church, right? That's what I'm coming back to, right? That's why I showed you the map, because, like I said, I keep saying that, right? This street is called Tyska because of the church, right? And that looks at that church in the background. So let's go to Google Map again. So now we're back in Stockholm, right? In Gamla stan. And you can see it here, that is the church, that is the church house there. There's a tower. And this is one of the streets going up, right? And it looks to me that the music video is, you know, one of these streets. I can't say, I think it's like the other side. Maybe it's closer. But you get my point, because, you know, if someone stands like here, right, and they turn around, and this edge is like the coffee, right, the Fika, Texas Hold'em, yeah, Texas Longhorn now then, right? So you get the churches there, right? So if you go like here somewhere, and if you know, as you can see, there's a bunch of these different Fikas and restaurants and so on, right? You know, this to me, right, this is basically where it is, isn't it? Isn't this where the music video is? I think so. Not exactly, maybe, but you know, I mean, it's like somewhere in this distance here, right? It's probably on this street here called Kinstugatan, so Gatan Street. So it's probably this part here, right? Maybe a little further back, but I mean, you know, he's standing outside playing music, right? Outside like a restaurant, like coffee place. So this is like a coffee up here. This is some, you know, some chocolate store or whatever, right? Then you have the church there, and it looks like the house, right? But it also might be the other side of it. But you get my point. Like it's somewhere on this street, very likely, or like a parallel street, and all the stores are kind of like you see in the. I will say one thing though, it does me feel that the streets are a little more wider here than in Gamla stan, the old town, because it's so old, right? The streets are very, very narrow. Not all of them, but they're quite narrow, some of them. So that's the only thing I think, like, but the house to that, the church to that. So, I mean, obviously this must be a little bit of a, you know, like a reimagination of it, right? To give it a little more space to it. But it also more the streets, right? But again, I get my point. I think this is the church, and then you see the different. So it's one of the like 4 or 5 streets around the church to get this angle, right? Now, one thing I like here in the music video, and this of course is what Sweden, right? And I would, this is a thing in Finland or Norway and Sweden, so one of course Denmark. But it is one thing, right, that Sweden is very famous for, it was Fika, right? Fika. So I really like how this thing is up here. It's like, yeah, it's Fika. now this is Sweden. This guy, you know, Sweden, yeah. And like I said earlier there, right, you looked at the Google Maps there, this could be like any store, right? It's like, Gamla stan has like 500 of these stores, okay? That's the hard thing though, finding what it is in Gamla stan, or any place in Stockholm, because there's so many stores like this, right? With these kind of windows, and yeah, like you saw there. I mean, don't exactly make a point in this roughly how this looks, right? Like in this kind of feeling. It's so many of them, right? Incredibly common, of course, in Sweden. Obviously, it's not the same in the whole city or the country, but especially like Gamla stan, old town, it's a tourist place, right? Södermalm, which is south of this place, the island next to it. Norrmalm, north, right, the next island north of it, and so on. These have a lot of tourist places, and they have a lot of, like Norrmalm has a lot of, like, I wouldn't say financial, but a lot of business places, right? And there's stuff like that too, right? A lot of financial buildings and banks and so on. There's also further north, but of course, there's a lot of people working in those places, a lot of Fika, right? So anyway, what is Fika then? Nu, detta är Fika. What every Swede loves, right? So Fika in Sweden is a very central theme in the culture. It's basically you have this coffee, right? So you drink coffee and you eat these cinnamon buns or kanelbullar. They have kanel in them, cinnamon, right? And they are really great. Honestly, they're very great. I mean, for example, last week I was in Florida, and I love Florida. Bro. I love Florida, really love it. But I don't like their fika. But their fika, they don't have fika here. No, but it's like I was in this place in Florida, right? And they were giving us food every lunch and whatever, so right. We got some, stuff to eat, right, at this place, and it was fine. It's like American candy and American drinks and all stuff, right? But something that is really good in Sweden is actually the pastry. Yeah, the pastry is great. And actually, not be that guys on the video, but Sweden actually has really good candy. Lösgodis in Sweden. Like the candy you pick is actually fantastic. And I think any other country has as good candy as Sweden. Sweden has very good candy, very good pastry. Sweden is very good at actually the luxury stuff. Yeah, I mean literally very, very. I lived in like, I don't know, 12 countries. I lived in a lot of countries. Yeah, Sweden has by far the best like luxury candy and pastry and so on, and cakes. Yeah, it's so much better in Sweden. Like genuinely. Like when I moved to Ireland in America, I was blissed off for 3 years, right? So we went from Sweden when I was like 22, and I lived in America and then Ireland and back and forth and so on. I didn't eat candy for like 3 years because I tried some candy in America that is terrible. So I didn't eat candy for like 3 years until I returned to Sweden after I had been in home country for 3 years, right, in my hometown, and then I was like, okay, fine, now I'm gonna eat some candy here because I haven't eaten it for 3 years, man. So Fika is very central, right, in Sweden. So yeah, in the music video, of course, standing in front of like a cafe, a Fika cafe, that feels very like Swedish, and I'm sure that when they grew up in Sweden, they probably went to Fika with their family and so on, right? It's very, very common, right? You are Swedish, your mom, whatever, bring you to Fika, right? And I suppose the parents are Japanese, but I mean, if you live in Sweden for a couple of years, you probably have, friends that bring to Fika, right? Because what you do is that usually, especially I think women more than men, right? But, it's like kind of like, you take your 4 or 5 friends and you go to a Fika cafe and you sit there for a few hours and drink coffee and eat this, cinnamon buns and similar pastries, right, or candy and so on. And it's something you do for hours, right? Especially I think a lot of women, you sit there and hang out, right? It's a very, very common like hobby to hang out with your friends at the Fika places. And I believe Sweden has the most, I might be wrong here, but I think Sweden has the most coffee per gallon per person per year. Like Swedes drinks ridiculously amount of coffee. Like seriously, Swedes drink so much coffee. I don't even drink coffee. Okay, I'm a gamer nerd, right? So I drink, like Monster or whatever. Yeah, and that's the reason why. Yeah, I don't drink coffee at all. And something I actually don't like genuinely with this thing, especially when I was younger. So when I was working at this consulting firm in Stockholm, it's like 10 years ago, whatever. I was kind of disliked it actually because I think it was so annoying because it was like an IT company and had money and so on, right? Fika was so ingrained in the culture that at like 3 o'clock, everyone was a Fika, and the company, of course, was providing the Fika, right? Providing the cinnamon buns or whatever. But it was like the whole company stopped for like 30 minutes at least every day, especially on Friday. Friday's like 2 to 4, whatever, yeah. And I actually hated it because I felt like it was so weird. I was like, I want to fix this bug, right? We're working on this game design thing or whatever. We're working on this thing here. We're working on this IT project, right? And then everyone's like, it's Fika now. I was like, okay, great. But can we first shoot Fika? No, it's Fika now. It's like a holy ritual of Swedes to have this Fika at this specific time or whatever. So it was like impossible to work for like an hour. It was like, okay. And I literally had meetings when I worked at a company in Göteborg where they would just leave in the meeting if someone was like, a very important meeting, and someone was like, oh wait, we forgot the Fika on Friday. It's Fika now? Oh god, it's 2 o'clock, and everyone's run out of the building. We're like, what? No, we had a meeting here. What? Yeah, I had weird moments. People just abandon the current topic of discussion and it gone for like 2 hours because they have Fika and ice cream and so on. I was like, what is happening in this company? So especially when I was younger, it really drove me crazy sometimes. Not when I'm an old geezer, I'm like, yeah, fine enough. No, but actually, I found it actually, I mean, genuinely here. Try to explain it to you guys as a Swede. It is like they're obsessed with it, okay? They're obsessed with it. And it is weird. I mean, I moved away from Sweden, right? When I finished university, when I finished my PhD and so on. And I was just like, man, this is just crazy. Come back to Sweden. So I never worked in Sweden until I was like 28, 29 or whatever, right? Because before that I worked, in America so on, right? So I come back to Sweden, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is like crazy. Like, what is this thing? So of course I worked at, how to say it, summer jobs and so on, before. But I never had like a full-time, job, right, in Sweden until I was like 30. And I was like, man, this is crazy. I was like, what is wrong with these people? Yeah, what is wrong with them? I was like, it's wrong. They're ritualistically into Fika like crazy. I was like, man. But anyway, sorry, a long Fika, it could be on the video, I know. Let's go back to the music video. But I just want to really explain this Fika culture. Yeah, so like I said, this is very fitting, like a Fika Café, and yeah, if you grew up in Sweden, you're gonna, bring your past with that and so on. It's so common. Like, yeah, everyone has Fika all the time, right? It's super, super Swedish. So it all kind of makes sense, right? And then I guess he gets sad there because, not making enough money or whatever, right? Playing the music here. And yeah, then we have Sweden here with graffiti. I have to say, honestly, this is also kind of authentic. Sweden has, unfortunately, a lot of graffiti. Yeah, way too much. And that could be a separate video, but yeah, it's a lot of graffiti in Stockholm actually. This actually is kind of how it looks, unfortunately, today. Get the leather. Now this could be a windmill. And it feels like it's supposed to be a Gotland, right? Given the other music videos that go to Gotland and so on. Yeah, so overall, right, this bridge is probably at Gotland. In the other video, I did last week, we went over different Gotland places. It's also going to Almedalen, which is very famous political place in Visby. They're also going to these, the Moa statue, Gotland, right? And this bridge here is probably the bridge outside Visby. But this bridge, though, the design itself is very common in Sweden. Yeah, it's a common bridge. It could be anywhere in that sense. This is a very common place. How you design them, right? You go out there in the middle, you have this big outlay, right? And what they usually have, though, modernly in Sweden, it's like a place I lived to had that a few years ago. Is that you have this thing and you actually have some kind of benches or chairs out here and so on, right? So this is the common design. You go out here and you get this thing and you have a little bit of like, so that, right? In Stockholm, though, to be fair, it actually doesn't look like this that much these days, I think, because most of the bridges are like privately owned. They're at the ocean or Mälaren. And you have to go to like the lakes or whatever to find this kind of bridge, actually. This kind of bridge pier thing. But honestly, yeah. So that's a very common thing these days, right? So, but honestly, it is kind of fun thing about it because this bridge here, if I have to be critical here, is maybe too long. Because if it's this length of it, then you probably have it in, a boats here. Yeah, like where's all the ships, right? So usually they aren't that long if they're used for, bathing and there's no one like for swimming and so on, yeah, for taking baths. Now, here comes the Nautilus, right? So, of course, the name Nautilus, it's like an astronaut, right? Someone in the space. Nautilus is someone in the water, right? So, this, of course, is the kind of Jules Verne submarine, right? Obviously. And then you can have them in the ship and so on. Yes, I mean, I get the kind of visuals of it. That's why it feels weird, right? Because the music video looks really sad, like someone is like jumped into the ocean or whatever and died. But it also is kind of implying that, no, he got a ride on the Nautilus, right? He got a ride on that, like, Jules Verne's, let's sink into the sea, right? So, yeah, it's a little bit unclear. But I think it's kind of funny, though, as a music reviewer here, that it goes from, like, okay, we see Stockholm, we see Visby, and then suddenly it's like a flying medical ship. I'm like, yeah, that's... Sweden has that? Yeah, suddenly it felt, like, very weird. A little bit like that, yeah, suddenly it's like, oh, we're here now? Where did this came from? But obviously it's a bit what the song is about, right? So on. And then we get suddenly he's gone, right? Maybe he went into the ocean, maybe, but it looks like he died. Yeah, it's super sad. It used to be Jesus Christ, man. And then you have but I guess lastly we have the leather her, of course. But I mean overall too, this thing is like what's it called again? Flaskpost in Swedish. This is a common thing, and I think one thing for people that go up in Sweden, people Långstrump and so on, they talk about this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, pirate stuff, like flag post and so on. That's probably to me when I see this image of holding that bottle with leather in it. I'm thinking Pippi. Pippi, of course, is incredibly cultural. So let's end the video with Pippi, guys. So of course, let's end the video with the most Swedish thing ever: Pippi Långstockings or Pippi Långstrump. So like I said, every time I see a pirate stuff in Sweden. So that ship sailing, right? Oh, Pippi, right? Pippi. Even if she doesn't say her much herself, if you have never read it or seen it, Pippi's father is, the coolest pirate. He's their gold Roger, right? He's a gold Roger of Sweden. So she's like, yeah, my dad has all these people and so on, right? Of course, Astrid Lindgren's Arthur. But honestly, if there's one thing I would say that is very, very Swedish, right, in a culture standpoint, like for in my age, is all the different Astrid Lindgren, right, Emil and so on, right, Mio and so on. Yeah, all the Astrid Lindgren books are kind of like the most, uber Swedish culture thing ever. And everyone in my age and up, right, older than me and my age, they have read Pippi and all the similar stuff, right? So it's very, very, for us it's like, oh my god, there's Pippi. So, the bottle in the hand, Pippi, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know, maybe Yorushika, but that's what I'm thinking. Pippi reference, no, but like, that's maybe they grew up. What I'm saying, I guess, is that they might have grew up reading Pippi, right? Because if you grew up in Sweden, this thing, right, Pippi's TV show, this TV series, it's played on repeat, right, for all the years, forever, right? It's basically impossible growing up in Sweden not having seen Astrid Lindgren's works, right? So Pippi, Bröderna Lejonhjärta, Lionheart Brothers, and so on. These things are basically, sent on TV like every Saturday, every Sunday for the last like 40 years, 50 years, whatever. They more than 60 years, whatever. They basically have them on repeat, like 1 hour per week forever on like the kids kind of watching hours, like forever, like literally forever. Yeah. So I feel like everyone growing up in Sweden have seen Pippi and their older stuff that she's made, like Emil i Lönneberga and so on. That is actually probably hard to translate. Emil i Lönneberga. So Pippi, right? Långstrump, Långstrump. Lionheart, Lejonhjärta. Okay, it's a bit easy, right? But Emil, which is my favorite, of course. Emil is kind of this, how say it? Emil is a trickster. He's a little tricky boy that makes, he's fights his father and he makes pranks. So he's a prankster guy, right? But his name is just Emil i Lönneberga. Lönneberga is just a place. Yeah, it's like the village. It doesn't mean anything. Lönn is a tree though, but a berg is like mountain. So it's like the tree mountain. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. There's a name of the place, right? So, I don't know. Let me check that out. What is Emil called in actually? Is that okay? I'm just laughing at the guys. Hope that's the video. But yeah, it's called Emil i Lönneberga. That was new to me too. But like I said, right, I was thinking like, wait, how do we actually translate that? Because Lönneberga, it doesn't mean anything, right? It's an actual village, right? It's an actual like tiny village in Sweden, like in Småland. It's like take any random Japanese little village with like 100 people living there, right? It doesn't mean anything. It might be, but it's just like a mountain of the trees. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, like, this is nonsense. Yeah, because even in Swedish, Lönneberga is nonsense, right? It's a combination of two things in nature, right? It's like the water village or something, water rock. It's like it's like Pokemon. Basically, yeah. It's like two types, electric fire. Basically, yeah. It's a combination of two natural stuff in the wild that is put together. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing whatsoever, right? It's just an old village name. Yeah, rock fire basically. Anyway, guys, subscribe, like button, tell me of course what should be the next music video, right? So I will definitely be checking out more Yorushika. I like this one here, Nautilus with the Fika, so it is fun. As you might see, right, I hope you guys like it, because in my videos, I have tended to make this historically, where I think some people, they just do, reactions. You walk the music and they talk about, but I always felt I'm more a cultural science guy, right? So if I make a video here about Yorushika, especially this one with Sweden's reference, right? I want to talk about like Fika or whatever, right? So if you like that, please subscribe, slap it, and tell me what you would like more, right? Because I enjoy that more, personally at least. And I feel that that I can offer you something that it might be different, right, than other people. I can offer you something that other people, other YouTubers, whatever, probably don't do, right, Not that they can't do it, and other Swedes could give you the same thing, right? But I'm just feeling that, to me at least, it's probably are like, thousands of other channels, right, that have done like a reaction to Nautilus. But I don't think anyone has done what I have done, talking about the Fika on the same time. Why is the Fika sign there? So why is that place in Gamla town? Something like that. I don't know, but that's kind of one of my goals with my channel at least. I try to be a little more, or some other stuff as well, right? I start with the music and we try to move it somewhere else, something like that. But anyway, guys, you guys have a great day.